ESPN this morning reports that the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer deal is becoming ever more imminent. They are fully committed, as in the board and the Glazers, to giving Ole a new 3-year deal at the very least at Manchester United. Reports today suggest that Odegaard still wants to move back to Real Madrid. That is his dream, to play at the Bernabeu. Arsenal fans, what do you make of that? Eric Bailly has apologised for his outburst from himself and his representatives in the last few weeks in relation to not getting regular game time at Manchester United. A retraction has been made on the statements made. Also, Haaland news coming up. Reports suggest that Ole is confident of signing him this summer, but we want your views, we want your opinions, because they matter most. Smash the like button, hit the share button. Let's go, people. Good morning, one and all. Hope you're well. Hope you're having fantastic starts to, actually more than fantastic starts, productive starts to your day. What have you all been doing this morning? You know, are you on target for your week? Are you on target for your month? Have you got your house in order? Have you made your bed this morning? These are very important questions. In fact, some of you are probably listening right now. You haven't even got up and had a shower yet. Have the shower after the show, by the way. Make your bed. Get your plan done. Eat some good food. Go for a run, have an exercise. A beautiful day. Summer is coming. The transfer window is upon us. And I'm just in a very good mood indeed. Andrew says, yes, I have. Good lad. Jake here, good morning to you. Hope you're well. Terry Sultan Aman. I don't know who that is, bruv. You say stuff to me. I don't know who that is. Who's that? Who's that? I don't know. I don't know who that is. Terry, Man United should sign Isak. That would make Arteta happy. Do you know what would be amazing? If Isak comes to Man United and Ole turned Isak into the best striker in the world. I would love to see the cognitive dissonance, the confusion, the frustration mixed with joy from a man like Arteta on that one. It'd be like, I can't praise it because Ole's done it to him. That would be amazing to see. Make sure you're smashing the like button on this video. So many stories circulating today. Big one here from Rob Dawson at ESPN, who says Man United remain firmly committed to handing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer a new contract, and the Norwegian's future does not. This is the telling point. His future does not, I repeat, does not depend on lifting a trophy this season. Depends what side of the fence you sit on. It either means we lack zero ambition moving forward, or they believe there's a plan in action, a bigger plan, a grander plan that's going to return Manchester United back to the promised land, back to the peak, to the pinnacle, to the top of the mountain. What do you think? I know we spoke yesterday evening about it, but more news has broke today. Another report I read this morning. This is an interesting one, and I'm worried about this one. That Ole has remained in regular contact, frequent contact, they said, with Borussia Dortmund star Erling Haaland over a potential transfer. It goes blah, 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 talks about the player, and it then says, it seems Ole is doing his bit to try and lure the former mold player to Manchester United. Multiple outlets claim that he has been calling his fellow countrymen on a regular basis to convince him to join. I hate these stories. You know why? Because if it turns out it's true that Ole's doing this, once this gets confirmed by a credible source, if we don't sign him, it's just like, Ole, you've been absolutely pied. If it goes wrong, there's no doubt about it whatsoever. Arsenal fans, I need to speak to you as well today. Odegaard has been interviewed, and Odegaard has reportedly said that it's still his dream to play for Real Madrid, despite talks for a permanent move to Arsenal. How does that make you feel? Want to know? That's essentially it for me. This is what he said here. He says, yes, I have seen many, blah, 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 he says here, and blah, 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 blah. Talking. Odegaard's latest comments on his desire to play Real Madrid may force Arsenal fans to face the realities, what the article says. It goes on to say, yes, as I've said many times, when you sign there, the goal is to always play there. It is, of course, a big dream for me. However, he did say, but at the same time, I am in a nice club and I'm very happy where I am now. So I am very happy with the situation as it is now. That tells me if Real Madrid say, I want you back, take me back, then he's leaving, Arsenal fans. How does that make you feel, though? I want your thoughts. I want your opinions on that. We have some super chats here. We're going to open up the lines very soon to have you come on, have your say. If Liverpool win the Champions League and Arsenal win the Europa League, while outside the top four, whilst outside the top four, fourth gives Europa League, not Champions League. This is correct. So if Arsenal and Liverpool won the Champions League and Europa League respectively, the team that finishes fourth in the league would not qualify for the Champions League, I believe. We've got some more super chats here. One here from Red Devil Down Under, who says, here's some cash to sing the Aussie national anthem and concede convict land is better than the monarchist homeland. Jokes, hombre. Bro, for me to sing that, honestly, it would be cheaper to get me to sing You'll Never Walk Alone than sing the Aussie national anthem. What a lot of people don't know is my nan was evacuated to Australia during World War II. So she had, only her and one of her brothers returned. The rest of them stayed. So the majority of my family are Australian. So I don't like them very much. just family banter. Kevin says here, got my vaccine today, feeling fine. Good guy, Kevin. Glad that you got that done. Hope you're feeling good. Morning. One of our brand new moderators. Yes, legends. This geezer last night absolutely killed it on the ranking show. Just absolutely blew everybody out the water. Top man. And yes, I will be singing Blue is the Color as part of my forfeit from yesterday. And I've just got to learn the words, and I will be singing that for man like to hear who super chatted that request in. Morning. But I want your views. I want your opinions. I'm going to share the link now on the Discord server for you to come on and have your say, because as I always say on this show, you people, my audience, that's the most important part of this for me. So I'm just typing and sharing this in now. It's on the general chat page on the Discord server. So get across now and get that link. Got man like KJ with us this morning. I'm going to get him on in a second. Making muffins whilst watching the show. Original Base Annie making them muffins. By the way, you haven't sent me the link yet, bro. I'm going to buy some of your muffins. I want a bit of your muffins, please, sir. I want the muffins. Give me the link to buy the muffins. I want to talk about how delicious they are. Bit of moistness. I love a moist muffin. Are you excited to watch England today, Terry? With respect, I support my country. I don't denounce that. But we're playing San Marino, so it's not really a game. Unless you score, you have to score more than 9 for it to be entertaining against San Marino. It's like 9 or under, and it's like, standard. It's got to be bigger than that. Got to be bigger than that. A bit chippy this morning. Listen, I told you the announcement's coming soon. And I'm so happy like never before. I don't know why I'm singing them words to Elton John song. I've not been listening to Elton John's music, but I watched Rocket Man, the film, the other day. Although he was rich and famous, his life was quite sad, really. But good film. I don't mind a bit of a musical. I'm not ashamed to say it. Do you know why? Because I'm strong within myself. Do you know what I always love about kids? I had a mate, right? He used to be like, all he would listen to, only listen to hip hop, only wear these clothes, only watch these type of TV shows. Everything he did was like tick box of being cool. But no one really knew behind the scenes he was the biggest super fan of musicals, but he would never tell anyone because he was scared that people wouldn't respect him. I remember saying to him, why would you want to be respected by people like that? Think about it. It's crazy. We're going to go to the calls very, very soon. I did see a comment from one of my favorite members, Twisted, who says, Terry, Haaland can only win honours at club level. Why would he realistically go to United? I mean, you could argue that about... Do you know what I'd say to you is this, bruv? I think Man United are in the mud. I said it for a long, long time. But let's be honest. I've been saying this for 5, 6, 7 years and still top players join us. So I agree with you, but Bruno joined. Rashford signed a new deal. Greenwood signed a new deal. Pogba joined. Zlatan joined. A lot of people have. Eric Bailly is desperate to stay. So, at the end of the day, people still will pick us. For whatever reason, I don't know, but they will. We're going to go to some of the calls. We're going to get KJ on the air first with us. KJ, morning, mate. How are you?
So, dude, what are you doing? Why are you singing so much? What happened? I leave you for 2 moments and you end up doing X Factor. What are you doing?
It's all right, bro. I'm just having. Do you know what I mean? I'm following in the footsteps of Livs. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to rap though. I'm not much of a rapper. I'm going to just start doing the songs. I might release an album next year. We get it out. We see how it does in the charts. One of them ones, bruv. Terry,
fair enough. Nice to see you.
Look at this comment here. Terry's turning gay. I just to break it to you, Harry J. I don't know how young you are. It's not something you turn into. It's something you either are or are not, or a mixture of. But yes, I can't turn into it. I'm not. Nothing. By the way, not there be anything wrong with it. Let me just say that to you, there, Mr. Harry J. Just because I watched a movie about Elton John doesn't equate to that. You got a lot of growing up to do, Harry J. I feel sorry for you, my bro.
Man said, just admit it.
Do you know what's funny? I see this on socials recently. I'm surprised that Twitter ain't shut it down. When a player does something and people write, so and so is suspect. I'm like, what do you mean suspect? Oh, I think he might be gay. I'm like, what's suspect about it? Suspect makes it sound like he's moving mad, like he's doing something that's illegal. Just put it out there. Anyway, we digress. Thoughts on some of the news this morning. Odegaard. I want to go to Odegaard first. We'll keep it off United with you because it annoys you. Odegaard. He has come out and said, this isn't like people go, it's fake news. It's an interview. I've read it and I've seen it. He turned around and said, it's still my dream to go and play for Real Madrid. Do you think that's like a shot across the bows at Arsenal? Is that going to be devastating to the likes of Igal this morning?
I think anything that goes against Igal's way of thinking is devastating to him. You see the shock in his face when someone doesn't agree with him. Now, in terms of Odegaard, and of course it's Odegaard's dream to play for Real Madrid. He signed there when he was a kid, and his mission has always been to break into the first team. He hasn't done it right now because of the manager per se. He's good enough to play. They're clearly in a rebuild. So he's probably thinking, right, can I outlast the manager? Because the president wants him there. The president likes him. So if he can just wait it out until Zidane goes, then he will get his dream of playing for Real Madrid. So it's no surprise that he's saying, yo, I want to go back. I want to go and play for them. And basically using Arsenal as a place to get game time while he waits for his return and his chance to actually play regular first team football. Because as I said, that Real Madrid team ain't the prime Real Madrid no more. It is needing a rebuild. There's a lot of Asian players and a chance for young players to come through and actually do something. So it makes sense.
And do you know what it comes down to? It's. I don't think this should be a shock to Arsenal fans. He's enjoying Arsenal. He's very open about that. But if Real Madrid say to him next month, we want you back, we want you to integrate you into this team, he's not joining Arsenal. And this is always the risk when you loan a player from a big club, that they do well and their parent club wants to keep them. That's the risk you take when you loan somebody, and you can't get away from that, especially if the player still has a desire, a dream, a determination to play his trade there. It's just something you have to accept. On Eric Bailly, what I found interesting this morning is big news from Rob Dawson. The new deal's coming. Lots of people talking about it. Lots of news about centre-back Torres. Lots of people talking about the Haaland situation. More so, Ollie's just got to let it go. I feel a bit like Ollie's chasing Haaland, a bit like he's friend-zoned. Like Haaland isn't going to join. He's messaging him. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, Haaland's probably, I'm going to text Ollie back because I respect him, but I'm not coming. But the news that's gone under the radar is Eric Bailly apologizing for his and his representatives' outbursts last week about not being happy at the club, wanting to move on. He's retracted his statement. He's apologized internally at the club, and he's apologized for his behavior. Why do you think certain Man United fans are really quiet about that news today?
Because then it shows that actually Eric Bailly was in the wrong for saying what he said. He wouldn't apologize if he thought he was completely correct. And it shows respect to Ollie. That's a very respectful thing to do. Clearly had a chat with him. Clearly was like, realized that actually maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe there are other reasons why I don't play. And it just shows that Ole again that is a good man manager. Because if that was Jose, Barry ain't coming out and apologizing and retracting statements. They stay there. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Ole is proving again that his man management is superb. And even if there is an issue, he finds a way to resolve it. So you got to respect the guy for what he is good at. You can question his tactics, question how good he is as a manager, but the one thing he's good at is man management. And Ole outers right now are quiet because that is another thing to prove that I'm wrong about Ole on something. That's all it is.
No, I hear that. Do you know what's interesting as well? When you listen to the full report on it, what I find interesting is this: the Daily Star put a story out a week or so ago about Donny being unhappy, and there wasn't a single challenge from an Ole outer about the credibility of the journalist. It was just a desk journalist, no quotes, no sources, just a desk journalist did an article, got complete traction. This series had multiple journalists go on record about what's been said and done. And when you listen to the full report about Bailly apologizing to Solskjaer, a lot of it stems at the fact that Bay is now being told what Man United are willing to release him for in the summer, to sell him for, and it's around £20 million. That's been I think what's happening here is very simple. I think Bay knows they're letting him go because of his injury-prone nature. And I think he's accepting of that because, as we know, he's missed hundreds of days during Ole's sort of leadership, and he hasn't played more than 20 games in a season since his first year with us 5-6 years ago. So I think there's been an agreement between him and the club. We'll play you as intermittently as possible, and then we'll let you go in the summer to pastures new. Great, an agreement. Let's all stay on board. Good man management because everybody's getting on with that. The outburst wasn't because he wasn't playing. It's because somebody in his team heard that Man United wouldn't let him go for less than 35 million, and they don't think because of his injury record they're going to get more than 35 million, and only his contract running down, that they'll get more than 20 odd million for him. Ever since it was revealed in a meeting, no, listen, we'll let you go for 20 million or more. They've come back and apologized. This is where football fans need to take their head out their backsides and stop living with emotions and looking for agendas all the time. I think Eric Bay is completely and utterly accepting that he's leaving the club. But of course, he wants to be able to leave. He doesn't want the club to price him out of a move so that he's sitting around. He wants to go somewhere else, get a new... Again, what he's looking for is a new 4 to 5 year deal somewhere. At Man United, love it. They're not going to give him they're not going to give him a proper new deal that's going to give him that's going to secure him for a long period of time because they're going to look to sell him. So he's looking for a move away. And I just think what you saw was almost a commercial dispute taken public, if you get where I'm coming from, based on what the report actually says. And it wasn't just, sorry about the outburst. It was after they found out what the club's willing to let him go for. And this is where Man United fans have got to just start listening and looking at the factual evidence surrounding Eric Bailly. He is, in my opinion, our best defender. However, he spends over 2/3 of seasons on average out injured. You can't build a team around someone like that.
It just also further proves about these pagans and this Wallad family. Like, what have we been saying about these people? Like, they're terrible. They are terrible at managing players. They are. You've heard too many stories come out about players and how they've been treated by this board and by the CEO. And it's not good. Eric Bailly, clearly his main issue was with the way he felt he was treated by the board. He probably saw Phil Jones, see what's happened to him after that freaking death row contract that he signed, and getting priced out a move just to be in the hospital bed all season in, season out, getting no game time. Not even Championship and League One teams want to take this guy on because he never plays, because he's always injured, and now he's a meme. What's happened to Phil Jones is sad, and I blame United board for not letting him go for a reasonable amount of price, for a reasonable amount of money, and keep giving him a contract that no one is ever going to buy.
Exactly, and I understand that, and these are the things where they've done that, they've set the precedent, but they're essentially they're trying to not do that with Eric Bailly. They give him a new 4-year deal at 80-90 grand a week. No one's going to buy Eric Bailly because unless his injury record improves. But my view is very simple. I know a lot of people say he's been injured. He's been fit a lot of this season. He has. But that's because they've used him sparingly. As soon as he's used on a regular basis, the body crops out. We're going to go to some more calls. Other reports today as well, if anybody wants to speak about it. is that Liverpool may go back in for Luis Suarez. So I don't know why I think this. There's something about if they went for Luis Suarez in the modern day climate we live in, something about that don't feel right for me after what he did. I feel like if they wanted to bring Luis Suarez back to the Prem, they'd have to make him publicly apologize for what he did to Patrice Evra first for it to be acceptable. I know that sounds like that was 10 years ago, but I think they'd have to. I really do think if there's any truth in that whatsoever, I think they've got to do something like that. We're going to jump onto some more calls, though. If you want to phone up, the link's on the Discord server. The link is also in the live comment section. Now I'm going to repost it. We've got quite a few people waiting backstage to have their say. Ollie's new deal chugging along nicely. Bay apologizes. Haaland to United. Odegaard wants to go back to Real Madrid. Suarez back to Liverpool. Phone to talk about anything you want. Monso here says Luis Suarez is the past. We need to move on. I don't even think it's that strong a rumor. But if it is true, they can't bring him back with that. What I mean is, you've seen a lot of the Liverpool alumni apologize for their recently for their behavior in that saga. If you were going to bring the actual player back, there'd have to be something addressed. I just think you would. And I don't know if Liverpool and the player are willing to do that. I think that could be a stopper for me. Let's go to the calls now. I want to hear what you're all thinking, feeling, and saying. Make sure the like button is being smashed. Get your super chats in as well. Let's go, people. We've got Who Knows on the line with us now. Who knows what you're saying, mate? You're on mute, brother. Okay, I'm going to go to another call. Then Ricardo United is with us. What you saying, bro?
Hey, what's up, Terry?
Yep, what you saying?
Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, I was saying, when was the time that you could be excited for United to play a game? It wasn't under David Moyes. It wasn't under Van Gaal. It wasn't under Mourinho. So Ali is giving us that now. Why are we complaining? I get that he's not a top tier manager, whatever, tactically, whatever. But his man managing skills are, one of the best. So if in the last couple of years, now when we're looking at United, we're making progress, we're getting to quarterfinals, semifinals, we're getting excited to watching the team play because we have, I'm not going to say a world-class team, but it's a team that we all like, we all love. In a certain way, we all have our favorite players. They're getting to a stage where they're not able to carry it over the line. But tell me when last in the last 8 years that we have been to a peak excited that when our team gets to a quarterfinal or semifinal that we're actually going to try to win this tournament. When? It hasn't happened since Ferguson. And even we did win the Europa League, it was an accomplishment for that time because we were on a barren spell and whatnot. But I saw now that Ollie's going for the Europa League, I saw colours and fancying and are downplaying that Europa League win that, it wasn't that hard. At that time, no one was saying that, right?
So what I would say to your point in terms of what I'm hearing is you're excited about Man United games and you weren't under previous managers.
I wasn't, no. Tell me a person that's getting that when we're watching Man United play and we're watching our team perform, getting to these stages, you're not excited that we're gonna win the whole thing.
Bro. Sorry, it's a little hard to hear you. My view is this: everybody that's Ollie out is not excited about how we play football. So this is what happened. You are, and that's your preference. Ollie outers are not, and that is their preference. This is why personal preferences are no good when it comes to assessing a team. And it's a bit like the world-class debate. Someone said to me yesterday, Terry, can you describe what the eye test is? I can, but it might differ from your point of view. And I suppose that's what makes football debate so brilliant is you could have 10 different interpretations of the same category of discussion, which makes it a debate. The only way you end this is by the Man United fans coming to a consensus about what we expect from a team and a manager, and then you base it on the agreed rules. But then you remove debate. So then there is no debate left. It goes down to factual. So if you get where I'm coming from, so you're excited and you're allowed to be. You're allowed to enjoy it. You're allowed to think Ollie's taking us forward. Other people are allowed to think that it isn't working.
No. You
Or
see, Chuck, I don't have a problem with people's personal opinions. What I'm trying to say is that there's certain Ollie outers that have a following. I'm from the Caribbean. I don't think I'll ever get to watch a real game in my time. The only connection I have to the game is watching it live or following you guys that have, that do this for us. Football is a very big part of my life, and I've never seen it live watching my favorite team play. So seeing like the way the influencers have an impact in saying, oh, well, fuck Ollie, he's not doing anything. How does that transcend the message to me? Then 1 minute when we're doing good, well, I guess he has to do what he's supposed to do. But when we're doing bad, oh yeah, well, they told you that's how Ollie is. That's how get him the fuck out. So like, it's confusing.
No, I understand. I get it from that point of view. What I would say about influencers, YouTubers, journalists, TV pundits, they have an opinion. Their opinion isn't read. Their opinion isn't fact. Is no more beneficial. Is no more potent. Is no more real. Is no more. It should have no more value to it than yours. And if you think and feel something, the one thing I would say is this: I see a lot of people that give an opinion on Ollie, and they reiterate other people's opinions almost word for word. They have a parrot-sized brain, which means they, I used to have an African grey parrot, and they can learn the vocabulary up to the same level as a 4-year-old. So they can learn about the same amount of words as a 4-year-old can do, but they have almost zero comprehension of what they're saying. And that's like a lot of Ollie outers and a lot of Ollie inners. When I watch it on socials, I hear him speak. I'm like, great. Yes, I've heard Stephen Howson say that as well. Yes, I've heard Rant say that as well. But what do you think? And as soon as you challenge their point of view, they either go silent or they insult you and say, you don't know ball, because they don't actually have their own thoughts. What I would say to you is this: stop worrying about what other people think and feel. And if you think Ollie's doing a good job, and if you think we're moving forward, and if you think we're progressing, then accept it. Then listen to what an Ollie outer's got to say, but you don't. I wouldn't enable it to you. The only thing I'd say should trigger you, or you should fight back against, is when people lie about Ollie, or they twist their narrative. So if they say things like Ollie's accountable when we don't win, but the players are accountable when we do win, that for me is BS. Whether you're Ollie in or Ollie out, that kind of statement just makes you look like a petulant child. Challenge that. But if you enjoy Man United, you should enjoy Man United, and then nobody else's words about the club should change how you feel about the club. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. It does actually. It does clarify it a lot.
Listen, bro, Ricardo, great call, mate. Thank you for coming on, bro. We're going to jump on some more callers, but great call. Thank you very much indeed, bro. Really appreciate that. We're going to get Abs on the line next. Abs is now with us. What you saying, mate?
I'm good, fellas. How are you guys?
You're good.
Good. Yeah, it's quite interesting what some of the stuff you said. The Bailly, I think like what KJ said, the injury proneness, he needs to go. I would just get rid of him, use the money to sort of reinvest into the squad. But for me, I would like United to go for signings, the signings we wouldn't think of. That's the one which will tell me if the board is actually serious about actually strengthening the squad, because we all know as Man United fans, we get name checked with everyone, like everyone. So it'd be good to see some signings that are out of the blue. And you go, good signing, that's interesting. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we do in the market.
Yeah, you know when you say signings we don't expect.
Yeah.
When fans say that, I'm not saying you do this.
Yeah.
But I feel like when fans say that, they say that to try and like say, oh, I see United, we can sign players that no one thinks of. But then when it actually happens, people get upset because it's not a player that they can think of. You know what I'm saying? Like people like Dan James, for example, no one knew who this kid was, saw him once against Man City, and people very much questioning, oh, is he even that good? You know what I mean? And now that he's here, we're asking why is he here? Why would we take a recommendation from Ryan Giggs? So we've got to be careful about these unknown signings, because I don't think anyone's going to be happy.
And you know what's interesting? Yeah, you're right about that. And I think what I would say to back that up is this: Ollie, it depends who you're talking to. Ollie outers will never say anything consistent or at the very least positive about Ollie. So when we signed Bruno Fernandes, I wouldn't say it was a complete non-obvious signing, but because nobody else was seemingly in the race, the rhetoric was, well, none of the big clubs were chasing him, so why have we signed him? But yet, if you sign an obscure player out of nowhere, you're never going to know that all the big clubs are chasing him because it wouldn't be obvious. If all the big clubs are chasing him and it's in the newspapers, it becomes an obvious signing. So I really do get confused. And a lot of people talk about, a lot of the signings I see people talk about, we need to sign Ndidi, we've got to sign Rice, we've got to sign Sancho. They're all fairly obvious because they're brilliant in their jobs and in their positions. But if we went and signed an unknown CDM from South America, from France, from I don't even know, from Australia, I don't care where, just naming any country, there'd be where's the ambition? I think what you find with most people that dislike Ollie is whoever you sign, it's flicked into a negative. We sign a big name and it's that's just obvious, that's poor scouting. You sign a relative unknown, it's who's this dude? Why aren't we going after the big players? And if you sign someone middle of the road, it's like, well, why were none of the other big clubs in for him? Whatever, and you can take that to the bank. Watch the reactions from the Ollie outers at each signing. You'll get those three reactions. One thing I say about most Ollie outers is they are so predictable. And like I say, that's where I defend Ollie, because you can't keep moving the goalposts and remain credible. It don't make any sense to me.
But Terry and KJ, the thing, when I say a signing we don't expect, so for example, the Bruno signing, for me, is a signing I didn't expect. So, you know, when we got linked with Dybala in the summer, I was just like, oh, that's such a newspaper type of signing. We're probably not going to get him, Iladi. So, for example, let me give you an example. So let's say we've been linked with Ndidi and Declan Rice, for example. If we come out and we say we've signed Ruben Neves from Wolves, what would both your reactions be?
Yeah, cool, isn't it?
I look at that as it depends. I look at that as I'm excited. That's me. That's how I would look at it. I was excited about Bruno. I don't really look at signings as obvious and non-obvious. I look at it as, let me read about him. If I don't know who he is, or if I know about him, great, I'm excited. I don't sort of sit in that obvious, non-obvious category, because the signings I really want are all very obvious. I want Marco Verratti. I want Haaland. I want the best players in the world to play in my team. But the reason that they're hard to get is because they very rarely move clubs, and big clubs don't like selling to other big clubs. So generally speaking, you have to go lower down the echelon to sign. I always say this about, it's like, when we're looking at Koulibaly, my view was, let's try and find the next Koulibaly rather than spending all that money on the guy. Every now and then you go after the star if they're available, but you need to find the next person. But like I said, I look at it as a good signing, but there'll be some that will say it's obvious. There'll be some that will say it's depending on how they want to spin it. And it's how they feel about the manager that spins their opinion on the signing.
I've got to a point where I don't care anymore about I don't care anymore about the unknown or the known. I just want it to be right. I just want it to be right.
Thank you. Because it's weird, because I know all of us as Man United fans, I think I realised, I can't remember what year it was, when Ronaldinho was obviously linked to us. And obviously, like any fan, I was like, oh my God, yes, please get me Ronaldinho. And then I realised that if you actually deep it, as Man United fans, we don't sign the world beaters or the people we think or expect to sign. We always sign people you go, okay, that's a good signing, someone for the future.
Yeah. We do and we don't. Michael Cat, again, different type of player. This is where you give this example. We go, they're not the same player, Terry. Jaap Stam was a world beater. Michael Carrick was a Premier League star, and everybody knew how good he was. Robin van Persie was a star. Wayne Rooney would in my opinion, is considered an obvious signing. On a European scale, when we signed Cristiano Ronaldo, he was one of the big things coming through. The difference was in that era is you didn't have social media and YouTube perpetuating things. Ronaldo would have had all them compilations made, all those welcome to Arsenal, welcome to City, welcome to Liverpool compilations made up with him in their shirts if YouTube existed in the capacity it does now back then. But that was still a huge, huge signing. Roy Keane was a gargantuan signing. Everybody knew who he was when we bought him into Man United. Dwight York, Andy Cole, Teddy Sheringham. These players were stars. They were all stars. Van der Sar was a star. Peter Schmeichel was a star. There's always been a balance. And like I've said, I'm not taking shots at any type of Man United fan, Ollie in or Ollie out. And my point is, stay consistent and learn your history. You either want to sign the best available or you don't. And I think KJ got it right. I just want to sign players at work. I don't care if it's an obvious. I don't care if Jack Grealish is an obvious signing. I just want the best. I don't care if we spend 80 million or 8 million, as long as that player delivers to the highest possible capacity to get us back to the top. I don't understand the debate over it. Like, I can think someone's a good player, you can think they're a poor player, but we should both want them to succeed. What I see now is, I like him, you hate him. You spend the next year trying to put down, actually, he's not as good as you say he is, Terry. And then people like me, and then maybe someone like me tries to over-egg how good someone is. It's weird. It's weird.
Yeah. It's weird because, like I said, and what KJ said, which I agree with him. Like, you know, when we've been linked with Pedro Neto, I would love that signing. I'm a big fan of Pedro Neto. I think he would suit, play either wing. You know, young, got potential to grow more. Like, if we didn't get Sancho, we got Pedro Neto. I would be like, well done, guys, brilliant signing, used to the Prem. I think when I say obvious signings, like for me, I know for a fact we're not getting Haaland. Like, it could be all the newspaper read that you want, because history shows when there's that type of big superstar, Man United don't know, he normally goes somewhere else. And you know, Viola wants to collect his money, so he's probably going to go to Chelsea for 2 years, then end up at Real Madrid. I don't see us getting Haaland, me personally.
I hear you on that. I hear you. When we should have got Haaland, if we had better negotiators, it should have been
last time.
2 years ago, 3 years, 4 years ago. Like, we you know, that's when we typically sign those types of players. But I hear what you're saying. Bob's is with us as well now. What you saying, mate?
Yeah, afternoon, guys. I've been listening to what you guys have been saying. Heard what KJ said as well, and yourself. I think we need to be realistic where the club is at the moment. You know, especially when it comes to transfer targets. We are behind Man City. We are behind Chelsea, especially when it comes to places where to live. Because players are now looking at clubs thinking, okay, are they going to kick on? Are we going to win trophies? And then the other thing that we don't realize, that people look at locations.
Yeah.
If they're family men, you know, and I think London is more fashionable and more attractive than living in Manchester. For me, I think we all know what we need. Is whether or not they're going to do it or not. And I think we're all going to be surprised together. For example, the Donny van de Beek transfer. Let's be serious. That day that we signed Donny van de Beek, we did not expect that to happen. It came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. So listen, I've always said this, and I've said this to you, Terry and KJ. Seatbelts on. I'm going to enjoy the ride. And if we get Neves, which we won't, if we go get Rice, let's see what happens. But we need to be realistic with our targets, you know. And we're saying Haaland and stuff. Me and KJ spoke of this a bit yesterday. Is there a point? We don't know what our budget's going to be, but we know they're going to be as tight as anything. So is there a point spending our budget on Haaland? No. We need other positions need to be addressed, Terry.
And Bob's, listen, I don't disagree. Like I said at the top of the show, I kind of believe these reports that Ollie is talking to Haaland. I believe them. But for me, it's friend zone stuff.
Yeah.
It's not going to, nothing's going to come of it, right? It's wasted energy. And that's my concern with the way we operate. But on your point there, Donny van de Beek was, I wouldn't say it was it was what I would, listening to what people say about obvious versus non-obvious, it feels like a non-obvious signing and it hasn't worked. Where Bruno felt like a completely obvious signing to me, because was the highest goal scoring midfielder in Europe, and we wanted more goals from midfield. And he's come in and completely and utterly worked. Like, the debate over obvious versus non-obvious for me is dead. It's pointless. It should be, does the player work? And what I mean by that is, if we brought Haaland in for all our budget in the summer and he scored us enough goals when we won the league, all the chat about style of football, creativity from the fullback, or no one would care anymore. It would be mooted because we won the league. If we went out and filled all our positions that we said we needed, and then we didn't score enough goals, people would scream that we should have just gone and got Haaland because that's what we missed. At the end of the day, people only moan about their transfers, who we're buying, what the media coverage is like about those players, when at the end of it, you're not yielding the results that make you happy. So back to KJ's point, for me, I have my preference. We all have a different preference. We all know the areas Man United need to fix. But I just want the signings to work. I don't, to a degree, care how much, who they are, what passport they have, what leagues they've played in. I just want them to work. That has to be the biggest focus of Manchester United fans, but it doesn't seem to be. It seems to be, how can I keep my narrative alive to make even a positive sound negative? There are people out there, we hear all the time, people from the show, they're Chelsea fans, Arsenal fans, Liverpool fans, they're like, Terry, why are you so many United fans against Bruno? I'm like, I don't know. I don't get it. One of the best signings in the post-Fergie era. In fact, one of the best signings in Premier League history so far for Man United. And even that gets ridiculed from a lot of Man United fans. So it's almost a poison chalice. Indiana's here with us. What are you saying, mate?
Isn't that why we've got a technical director and a director of football? Firstly, it's an idea from the Glazers. I don't think it's a plan. I think it's an idea. We get that straight first, because we all know what the Glazers are like. But surely the idea itself is to have a technical director, a director of football, to find these players. I don't care whether it's 200 million for a player or 20 mil. I don't care about the money that's spent. Manchester United, I think the problem with fans is that because of the size of the club, because of the history, we expect to get the best players. Now, the best players might not be the best players where they are now, if that makes sense. You could go and pick up a player from, I don't know, Lyon. Go pick up a player from Lyon who might not be killing it right now, but in a certain system, in a different league,
yeah,
he might become a top player. It's more about identifying the right profile of player, how they fit in the system, how they fit in terms of balance with the other players. Just go out and do the business. Yeah. I'm sick of us spending stupid amounts of money on players like Harry Maguire when we could have done that deal before and saved money on it.
And you say something important there, Indiana. You say player profile, and people are questioning, who wants to come to Man United now? Like, what kind of player would want to come to Man United? And yes, you can sell the legacy that you could potentially have in terms of if you're one of the players, part of the team to bring United back from the gulag, you'll be a legend. You'll be a football legend. But also, if you know what player profile you're right, you'll be like, yo, here is how we want to play. Here's how you'll fit in. Here's how you will grow as a player, and how you would actually expand your skill set. That is another way to sell a club. It's not all just about we win trophies every single year. Because if that was the case, no one besides Man City or Liverpool would be able to sign players. You know what I'm saying? So if United are smart enough, they can be like, yo, look at the legacy that you could have, but also here is the player, you fit our player profile, and here's how you'll fit, here's how you'll grow, and here's how we want to expand you as a player.
I've got a weird comment here, guys. I don't know what people listen to on this channel. The only fan channel to feel good about this nonsense, i.e. Ollie getting a new deal. Ollie is crap and things will only get bad. I don't think in terms of regular panelists, you might have had callers. Not a single one of us has expressed joy or happiness at Ollie getting a new deal. So listen, maybe you put that comment in for attention and you've got it there, but I am getting sick to my back teeth of people coming on this channel and lying about what we say. I don't know whether you've got too much earwax. I don't know whether you caught, like, I don't get it, bruv. Like, I literally have done 2 shows on this saying how I feel it's a terrible move for the club, and I'm the face of this channel. So where you've got that comment from, my friend, is absolutely beyond me, bro. Like, it's crazy. We're the only fan channel that has not just multiple opinions, they all have that, but enables fans to phone up and give whatever opinion they want to give on this show. We're the only ones that do phone-in shows every single day. So if you even express that, do you know what fact? I'm just going to block you, bro, because you ain't welcome here. See you later on.
Yeah, Terry, do you know what it is, right? A big part of it is, for me, is giving him that contract right now is ridiculous. I don't think that should happen. Should he be sacked at the end of the season? No, because why have we appointed these people in these new roles? Because they buy into what Ollie's doing. They're all on the same path. It's the reason why Nicky Butt didn't get that job, because he didn't really get along with John Murtough. They had different opinions, different ideas.
And that's a bit of a positive for me. That's a positive that says they're moving in a different direction. They're changing something. They're doing something that they've caused sometimes to progress. You've got to break a few eggs, you know. You've got to offend a few people. You've got to annoy a few people to progress because you've got to challenge things. So there's hope there that we will move in that right direction. But one thing I will say as well, and this is the thing, is it is still about coaching and it is still about systems. And the comment from Simon, kind of attacking us, but I get his point, saying stop protecting managers. They are supposed to improve players. Yes and no.
Oh my God! Sorry, Terry. Can I attack that question, please? Because this is stupid now. So, is Ollie supposed to improve Fred to pass a 3-yard ball? No. Is Ollie supposed to improve players for making stupid mistakes? No. That is not a coach's job. A coach's job is to find someone's potential and bring it to its fullest. It's not going to make someone a below average passer to not start passing like Paul Scholes. That is not going to happen. People actually need to realize what coaching is. And not just
this is what happens on social media when people say he's not coaching them. Do you know how you know this? The two best coaches in the Premier League, who are they?
Klopp and Pep.
Yeah.
So they never signed flops. They overhauled the squads when they came in. Why didn't Pep just coach Bravo to be as good as Edison? Why didn't Jurgen Klopp just coach Moreno to be as good as Robertson at left back? Why didn't he coach Nathaniel Klein to be as good as Trent? Why didn't he coach Benteke to be as good as Firmino? Because it doesn't work like that. There's a medium. There's a happy medium. Of course you need it. And this goes back to not protecting managers. I think Man United need a better coaching staff and a better manager to get back to the promised land. Yes. But relinquishing all responsibility from the players. And bits and bobs was a professional footballer. He'll know this to be a fact. You can't. It's not just. It's about the player. It's about the player. I bet you'll know this, Bob. What players have you played with who have gone on to the top level? And let me ask. You have to name them. But how many of them work their bollocks off every day to improve themselves? Put it on themselves to improve.
If I'm honest, there's only a few people that actually are still playing. Paul Hanlon at Hibs. He's the Hibs captain. Andrew Shinnie. I think he was at Birmingham. The difference between wanting to play to be the best is attitude and application. Now, it's okay just turning up to training, doing the sprints, the juggling, but you're trying to get better. You're trying to improve yourself. This is why they talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, the journey he's came on. He's improved himself. At the end of the day, if you don't want it, you're not going to get it at the end of the day. It's as simple as that.
Look at a player like Abdel Taarabt. Right?
So much ability.
Has everything, incredible ability.
Sorry, Terry,
but didn't have the right attitude.
No, that makes sense. I mean, listen, and I get there's a comment here that says, how has Tuchel improved Aspi Zuma to be better passers? So for me, I think I think Aspilicueta has always been a good passer myself. I don't look at that as being an issue. Zuma's performing well, but let me tell you something about certain players in the Chelsea system, the Zumas of this world as an example, the Alonsos of this world. Tuchel will look to improve and buy better and move them forward, because you can improve. A player can look slightly better in a really good system, in a really well-drilled system. But to start winning things at the highest level, which is where Man United need to be, there needs to be the quality within that player. Chris Smalling in LVG system looks a lot better and improved because the system protected him. But when it comes to actually the elite end of the spectrum, you just need to be that much better. Like I've said, the Prince of Bel-Air, please listen. You don't have to agree with me. So when I say please listen, there's a happy medium. It's a bit of both that's needed in there. It isn't all on the manager. If it was, there'd never be, like, the top coaches would never have flop signings. And it can't all be on the players, because sometimes a player does better in a certain system near to another. It's about the happy medium and getting the balance right and putting square pegs into round holes. Some fullbacks work better as fullbacks. Some work better in a back four. Some centre-backs are better in a 3 than they are in a 2. Some strikers work better with a pairing than they do singly. Look at the difference between Rashford when he plays on the left inside forward role to the right inside forward role. They're different players night and day.
The best example, Terry, the best example for me off the top of my head is Luke Shaw, right? Is Luke Shaw a bad player? Yes or no?
No.
Right. In his tenure at Man United, we've seen average players, you could say, Williams, Darmian, Ashley Young overtake him. Why? Because of his attitude, right? He's came out and said that he didn't apply himself better. He said mentally he couldn't handle it and stuff like that. It's all about applying yourself. If you come with the right attitude and actually apply yourself, you're going to play better. So when a new manager comes in and we get this new manager, Brian, it's because everyone is on 10 toes. Everyone's like, I need to do well. I need to do a new attitude. So when they're saying that, how did this manager coach so-and-so? Come on, guys. Like, let's use your brains.
And that
here.
comment
like,
made no sense either, did it? Because how good was Zuma start of the season under Frank?
And
I thought it was incredible.
He was good, and it's about letting the dust. It's about letting the dust settle. We're going to go to some more calls. I also want to speak Arsenal, Odegaard, about his dream move. We're going to get original base Annie on the show. What you saying, brother?
You're on mute.
You're on mute if you're talking, bro.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go, bruv.
How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Yeah, all good, man. What you phone up to say?
United again, making stupid mistakes. Like, why would you give him a contract now? Did they not learn anything from what happened with Mourinho? Like, he hasn't won a trophy yet, and they're ready to give him another contract. Like, at least let him do something more substantial before you say, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you a new contract and hopefully we can push on. But like you've been saying, Terry, these men upstairs, they're not serious. They're joke men. Like, they're literally sucking the life out of all of us. And all of us are still going back to them and bending over for these guys. Like, they're doing all this mad PR so that come when we all go back into the stadium, everyone's ready to go to the mega store, buy all this stuff. Like, come on, guys. We're not stupid.
Original base. I just agree with you. The only way, and again, the only difference between me and an Ollie outer is if in 2 or 3 years' time this plan of action starts yielding us results, and this was all needed to get us to that point, I'll come back and say sorry. But because I've been bitten too many times by this club, and there's a really good article that was published by James Cooper a few days ago, all about the Man United restructuring. He was briefed directly by the club. That's my blueprint now for what I expect. And I'm gonna do some content on it, and that's the blueprint. And if I don't see that actioned, then I'm never trusting these people. I'm not trusting them now. I've got a barge pole out, and I'm like, right, I'm keeping you at distance. I'm not allowing you in. I'm keeping you away. But I'm gonna watch from afar to see whether what you've said actually kind of comes true. We have a comment here.
Terry, can I ask you a question quickly?
1 second. Let me do this stupid chat here. It says, I understand your point, Terry, but a good manager will hide the weaknesses of players in his system. Ollie doesn't do that. To that point, that's why I've said it's a happy medium. That's why I've said it's a happy medium, and you do need that better coaching element. But to put it all on the coach to improve his players, again, it's the hyperbolic nature, the unequivocal, unyielding, all-encompassing comments that I just don't like, because the problem you do, this is why I don't like it. I'm just trying to help people in debates. When you make these comments, you will lose 20, 30 debates down the line because Have Hope used to come on my show all the time and ruin himself because he makes such a sweeping statement to win one little battle. And then you just use his own arguments against him later on. That, like all these Man United fans that say these things, I've listed all of it. So when the new manager comes in, if we get into a debate and the new manager is doing any of these things, so a certain player looks weak, he smiles in a press conference after losing a game. He plays an injured player. You're all in the mud. You can't win a debate again because you're being too unyielding. And that's what I care about. Indiana, you were going to say something, bro.
He's muted.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Firstly, I want to that comment. We play McFred for a reason, to hide our deficiencies. That's why he's doing it. And the reason why McFred had been playing is because Pogba couldn't even run for 3 months. He said that himself. So that's by the by. But do we think that Ollie was given the contract now because of the reports from agents saying they don't like the idea of managers being sacked quickly? They, for instance, and I'm not saying we're getting Haaland, but Haaland's dad was like, it's not just the manager. We have to know the whole club wants the player. Do we think this is part of it, and Man United being able to attract players by saying, look, these are the people in charge. The manager's here for the long term. I don't know. I don't know whether that's the reason they've done it.
It's a difficult one because if you hear some reports and some interviews, some players and agents are saying don't join certain clubs because other managers there, secure or not. Mm-hmm. So either way, there will be some agents, some players not wanting to come United just because it is Ollie in charge and not someone else. You know what I'm saying? Some players don't care who the manager is; they care about the club. Some players do. We can't escape it.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, Indiana, we're only going to know the answers to your point in 2 or 3 years' time. It's everyone's got an opinion now, but we're going to have to wait. My problem is I have no faith in, even if what you've said is right, we're going to give Ollie a new deal and extend it by a couple of years, small pay rise. We need to have this. We need to present this continuity and stability to be able to attract the profile of player that John Myrtle and Darren Fletcher want, so we can create a club plan so that at some point switching managers isn't so disruptive for us. That could be part of that could be it, like you've said. However, I don't trust them to even stick to that plan. I'm going to need to see 3 or 4 years of continuity, of consistency. But remember, it was about 12 months ago that we got a very similar briefing about the new structuring, the new recruitment system, how the head scout and Ollie are having the majority of the control away from the board. And we're going to be going into the summer and operating very differently in the transfer market. Big report in around March 2020 said exactly the same things as this year's report about Myrtle or Fletcher. We went into the summer and it was the same as the previous 7 years. We saw no difference and change. So my point is, there's all these theories as to why Ollie's got a new deal. Club has no ambition. They think Ollie's doing good and they don't care. Maybe it's just to create the continuity so that we can get the players in we need, so that when we do replace Ollie, we have the best squad possible to fit who our future new manager is. Some of these theories are very negative. Some of these theories are very positive. My problem is I just can't buy into any of them as a plan because I just don't trust this board. Like, there's something about it just makes me feel a bit sick. I want to speak.
Terry,
no one does, Terry. It's an idea, not.
I want to speak Arsenal.
No one.
I want to speak Arsenal for a moment as well now, because we're obviously covering more than one topic on here in relation to that. I love Twisted Bubba's questions. He asked me questions that I just can't answer. Terry, what does Ollie think of his own ability? How do I know? I can't answer that.
He thinks he's the best.
Holy, you know that.
This guy does ask me some very obscure questions.
Just drop him a text. Just drop Ollie a text.
No, I'll text Ollie. Yeah, bro, what are you saying? I want to talk to some of you guys on Arsenal.
Yeah.
News that Odegaard doesn't want to stay, wants to go back to Real Madrid. What do you think Arsenal should do? Should they start to look for an alternative, or should they put all their eggs into one basket of trying to convince Odegaard to sign permanently?
I think it might have been you, Terry, or KJ that said this when they did sign Odegaard. This was going to happen. If he played well, he's going to go back to Real Madrid. If he didn't play well, Arsenal probably had a better chance of signing him. So I don't think Arsenal fans should be shocked. I think what it has shown them is Odegaard is the type of player that we need in our team. So maybe we need to get a similar type of player to Odegaard. But except for that, I'm not shocked that Real Madrid would want him back.
Yeah, how about yourself, Original? Do you feel like Arsenal should be fighting tooth and nail to bring him in, or should they start shopping elsewhere?
I think they should do both because my dad's an Arsenal fan. Like, imagine my dad's an Arsenal fan and I support United. So like he watches the Arsenal team and he's like, yes, Odegaard is the kind of guy that we need. Like, but it's that inkling of Madrid could always come back and take this guy. So realistically, they should be looking just in case he ends up going. But some Madrid fans are not happy with Odegaard because he's been sent out on loan so many times and he hasn't really produced numbers except for that one season at Sociedad. So
it's still what's interesting as well of Arsenal. What they need to be really careful with is that he just doesn't have a good couple of months at Arsenal, putting himself in the shop window, and then levels dip when he goes in permanently, because it wouldn't be because
they can do what they did with Morata, bring him back and then sell him again.
Some players are a little bit like that. Listen, Abs and Original Base, thank you both very much for coming on.
Terry, before I go, I did want to send you the link, but the page isn't ready yet. So when it's ready, I'll send you the link.
Get that ready. I want to buy some of your muffins, bro. So send me the link.
No worries.
All right, mate. Take care, brother. All the best, bro. We're gonna get some more callers on here. First up on the show, Baz10 is with us. Baz10, what are you saying?
Yeah, you're right, Terry. You good?
Yes, bro. What's on your mind?
Obviously, with the Solskjaer new deal, if we do give him a new deal, whether it's now or at the end of the season, the board need to back him. But knowing our board, they're not going to back him. So essentially, there's no point of giving him a new deal because, like, if you're going to give the man a new deal, you can see with the squad he has as at his disposal, he's not obviously able to challenge City. Like in January, we were top. And then it just went downhill from there, really. So, yeah, if we're going to give him a new deal, I just advise us to, like, we need to back him. But obviously, as I said the last time I came on the show, I don't think his coaching is good enough. But with the Ole in and the Ole out thing, I think it's like there's actually no point of being Ole out or being Ole in, because whether you're Ole out or Ole in, the real problem's the board. Because after Ole's interim period after he took over from Mourinho, if we had a competent board, they wouldn't have hired him, because at the end of the day, we had a good one for 3 months, the adrenaline, we were playing really good football, but then we got a reality check towards the end of the season with the results against Cardiff and Huddersfield and stuff like that. So if I break down Ole's tenure, it's like 3 or 4 parts. You have the interim period, the first 3 months, it was phenomenal. The players were playing on cloud nine and they were in good form. We had that little run to the Champions League quarter-final, then we realised our squad wasn't good enough, so we let go of... So I give credit to Ole for getting rid of the deadwood and stuff like that. And his man management's really good. He put an arm around players like Martial, etc. Got the best out of Pogba for a bit. So then his first season, he made some astute signings. Obviously, Maguire was a waste of money. We got bumped by Leicester, but is what is. The likes of AWB, the best defensive right back in the league, but obviously on the ball, he's not that good. So in his first season, we were missing that number 10, that creative spark. We had the likes of Andres Pereira and Jesse Lingard, and they weren't cutting the mustard. So that's the first part of his tenure. Then we got Bruno Fernandes, and we went February 2020 to the next calendar year with picking up the most amount of points, I believe. So that's the second part.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. When you say back him, that's the point I want to focus on here. In your interpretation, what does backing him look like?
Listen, we all have different opinions of what positions we need, but if the manager says that he wants these 3 or 4 players, if it is financially possible, that obviously you have to take into account the COVID market, but Man United, they're just putting stuff out. They should have enough money. But if you take into account the COVID market and the size of our club, if Ole says he wants a striker, a centre-back and a CDM, getting him his first choice striker, centre-back and CDM, if it is realistic, because obviously Ole might want Haaland, but it is every club in the world wants Haaland. And
I hear what you're saying, Baz. Listen, bro, thank you for calling the show and having your say, mate. Really appreciate that. Top man. Twisted Baba here says, Terry, I believe if Ole was true to himself, he'd be Ole out.
That's funny.
That is actually quite funny. I like that. Next on the show, I'm trying to get some more Gooners on. I want to talk Arsenal in this as well. Out and out Gunnar is on the show with us now. What you saying, bro?
Big up, Terry. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, bro. What do you want to say?
Yeah, so look, just touching on the Odegaard situation, I think we should go all out to sign him, because we'll have kind of 6 months kind of put down with building Odegaard into the team. So we kind of have the foundation laid. You can kind of use the advantage of he's going to be guaranteed game time with ourselves. So I suppose you have that side of it as well. It's probably what fee Real Madrid will be looking for. I think if Zidane stays, we have a better chance of signing him than if Zidane goes, because if a new manager comes in, they kind of like to keep the squad together, and they'll kind of reassess the squad. So I'm hoping Real Madrid win the Champions League, just because that'll give us a better chance at signing Odegaard. But I think
you are right there. There's a lot of it. A lot of people think it's going to ride on Zidane staying or not. If they don't win anything, there's rumours he'll go. If he does, he's going to stay, and that could definitely help you. I agree.
Yeah, so I suppose, and then with that, as I say again, you have him and Smith Rowe. It's kind of been working so far, and if you've someone else, then you have to allow time for them to settle as well. And just looking around, I suppose there isn't anyone else really off the top of my head that would stick out. That at that age that can
Andres
develop and you get
Andres Pereira's free.
He wouldn't start for the 23s, and mind Arsenal's first team.
Listen, bro, great call, mate. Thank you very much for coming on and having your say. Really appreciate that. We've got the eye test actual son on the show next. What you saying, bro?
Yo, Terry, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, brother. What do you want to say? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm an Arsenal fan, so obviously Odegaard's a must. You have to get him. He's been nothing short of phenomenal for us. I think from the start of this season, we've been begging for a creator. And when Smith Rowe is a youngster, you can't put too much pressure on him. And Saka, although he is a creator, he's more of an out-and-out winger. Pepe is a creative winger, but he's not good enough. I think he's the best that Pepe I think the best that Pepe. I think Pepe should be back up to Saka. I think that's what Pepe is. But Odegaard is a must, and I think it's riding on Real Madrid winning the Champions League. So if Zidane stays, I think we have a better chance of getting him.
Yeah, I mean, so you've seen enough of him in the sort of month and a half, 2 months he's been here. For you, that's it. You know, Odegaard's the future in terms of the creativity for Arsenal.
No, personally, I would give it to the end of the season. If he carries on, then it's a must. But if he dips down, then you'd have to think about it.
But do you think he's going to dip, or do you think he's going to stay the course? He's Premier League ready.
No, I think he's Premier League ready. I think you have to get him. It's a must.
Listen, there we go. Eye test actual. Are you eye test actual son? Is that like after our eye test, or like eye test is in watching football being an eye test?
Nah, I'm not eye test. I just wanted to piss him off.
You're having a little shot at him. No worries, bro. What do you make of eye test's opinions?
No, obviously I'm not eye test, but he can be delusional at times. You know what I mean? He's a good guy though.
All right, bro. Yeah, of course he is. Yeah, it's all fun and games. Listen, bro, thank you for coming on, having your say. Really appreciate it, bro. Monsur Ahmed's with us now. What you saying, Monsur?
Yeah, I'm loving the United banter and the Ali and in and Ali out. It's quite fun watching it at the same time. Because we're in a crisis as well. But I agree with KJ. I mean, these boards are not going to back him up. You know, they can try and say stuff like that, but they ain't going to back him. It's the board that's the problem, not Ali. I mean, Ollie's issue is the tactics and everything, but that's to say that everything's his fault is incorrect because you got the boards at fault as well. I think I just wanted to mention it's a very, very little news, but Luis Suarez thing, it's not going to happen because, like I said, he's the thing of the past. And you're right, what he's done for us, like what he's done to us in terms of celebrating in front of the fans when he scored for Barcelona and the ever situation and everything, it's going to take a lot of apologies and for him to be. I don't think of an apology is going to cut it anymore. I just think it's something that we just don't buy him anymore. But like I said, it's just little news. And I just want to say, I think the hate on Bruno Fernandes, I think it's the fact that he joined United. He's such a good player that he doesn't deserve to be United. That's my opinion.
Bro, listen, most of Bruno Fernandes' hate comes from Man United fans. Like, I feel like what United fans that went for him, they were the ones that gave all the fuel to the rivals. If that made sense, it was like it's just I've never seen anything like it in my life. It's my favorite one of watching is Pogba FC versus Bruno FC, because I look at them as a Man United fan and just think these people are in my camp. You know, I want them all gone. Like that, they're all like, for me, they're weirdos. All of them. I'm just sort of like, oh, why? Why would you do this? Why would you argue over it? But Monsur, great call, mate. Thanks for coming on, having your say. Appreciate it. Next on the show, Aaron's with us. Aaron, what you saying, young man?
Terry, lovely to be back. First of all, I just got the news from my camp that the talent and identification manager has left the club. So best of luck. Adam Henschel has gone to sign with the biggest club in the country, apparently, according to the club website. So well done to Adam. Best of respect. Best wishes. Look, I think with the whole Odegaard thing, first of all, I think keep your options open. And I still don't trust the Arsenal board, the Cronkies, to back Arteta fully. So I think if you're a proper board, you keep your options open just in case of a dip in form. But at the minute, I don't see a dip in form with Odegaard. I think that he's unstoppable at the minute. So if he does have a dip in form, it could be a bad team performance or two, which is basically what Arsenal see for most of this season. So something like that could affect Odegaard in some way. In terms of Ole and his new deal, right? My point on this goes towards the deluded fans that blame you, that blame the terrorists, that blame other people, and don't admit they're wrong. This is my lesson for the deluded fans. So you've got three components: players, manager, board. That's three main components. My theory as to why they're not admitting they're wrong, Terry, is because they only believe one or two of those components are wrong, and they'll never attack the third one. So if they think it's the players and the manager, they won't go after the board. If they believe it's the board and the manager, they won't go after the players. And it's that mentality of, well, I'm going to believe this component's wrong and this component's wrong, but I won't believe this component's wrong. And that's where the deluded fans come from. They only believe one or two of the three main components that creates the poison around Man United. And the fans are starting to be, and the fans that are falling into that trap are starting to become the fourth component of the poison. The deluded fans that are buying into two of the components being wrong, or one of them, but not the other one. So if they think the players are wrong and the manager's wrong, they won't think the board's wrong, and they'll try and stand by that. And that's why they blame people like you. That's why they blame other fans on YouTube for saying their opinion's wrong, and they don't come back with real arguments. So that's my lesson for the deluded fans. In terms of the contract, look, I think second place, maybe a Europa League, but in my opinion, maybe not. FA Cup gone. Carabao Cup gone. Does he deserve a new contract? Debate it. I'd have him on the coaching staff.
I hear you on that. There's another report that's come out since we've been live on the air that says that part of this deal, Man United will expect a genuine title challenge next year. So for me, if the new deal comes out and it isn't 3 years and it's a 1 year extension and there's a slight pay rise, but he has to challenge for the title at the very least next year. And again, interpretation of a title challenge for me, you can still conceivably win it with 3 or 4 games to go. That's a title race. If he doesn't do that and then they sack him, then we kind of know that it was almost, listen, you've taken us to this point, but now we need results. That wouldn't bother me so much. But it's if we start, my and that ain't even my concern. My concern is if we give him a new 3-year deal, 4-year deal, you extend his salary by 2 or 3 million a year, and then you sack him for not being in that title challenge. The compensation you have to pay Ole is just then gargantuan. It's going to eat 20, 30 million pounds into the budget of the new manager. So if they do it that way, if it's about just giving him a little bit more support, but saying you now need to challenge for the title, at least that wouldn't bother me so much. It's more that give him a big deal, and then what we did with Jose was mad. We increased his salary, extended the contracts, and then sacked him within a year, which meant we hemorrhaged 25 million pounds out of our transfer budgets, out of our contract renewal kitty, to give to sacked, and that's what we need to be careful of. Aaron,
that's what thank
you, Aaron, up the Donnies. Final caller of the day, Josh. What you saying, Joshy boy?
How are we all today?
All good, I think. Bob's, you good? Bob's is still there. He might be working. Casey,
I'm still here. Man.
Yeah, I'm still here too. Still here too.
Yep, sweet. First thing, I just want to shoot a quick question to KJ. Your Viva la Resistance. Do you guys have a newsletter or something I can read weekly? Because I'd love to join.
What did you just say? That kind of resistance. What did you just say? There's no newsletter. There's just vibes and willpower and hope.
I want to see a quarterly publication. If that's too much to ask, I want to join.
Hey, listen. Yo, fam, if you want to help me set up a thing, yo, we can do something.
I'll slide in your DMs.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Anyway, I just want to make a mention of the Odegaard situation quickly, and then a quick touch on Ole, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think Arsenal should probably avoid this deal. I mean, the way I view the Odegaard situation was kind of like how I viewed the Bruno situation, but there are levels to it. Basically, Arsenal got a proficient cam upper field player, so they had that hole in the team, just like United did. They filled that hole with someone competent, and then they're yielding the results of that. His outputs have been great. He's been in good form, but I still think it's a catch-22. I mean, he plays well. Real Madrid will want him back. If Real Madrid go on to success, yeah, sure, go for him. But I think it's too fraught with peril. I don't think he's going to be the long-term solution for Arsenal. Anyone can come in and do a job for 6 months and try and impress. He could be in the shop window for all we know. So on that regard, I think there's a little bit of a little bit of sus about the situation. And when it comes to the Ole contract, I'm actually probably going to go against the grain a little bit here. I'm actually glad that there is a potentially long-term contract here for him. It's showing, at least they're covering up the cracks. That there's been stability brought in by Ole in his tenure, so the players are playing for him. There's a much better culture and vibe around the dressing room, I find that if they're going to look to bring in the bigger names and not have to overpay, they can sell the fact that, you know, the manager's here, he's building something. Whether we agree with how good Ole is different to the marketability of the club looking for the better talent, if that makes sense.
Yes, I just want to point. So, I hear what you're saying. So, there's a report, another report coming out. Some people saying £41 million contract. It's just £30 million, it's $41 million. I'm not sure why people are reporting in dollars on YouTube. If it's around £30 million new contract, that would angle at a 3-year extension. So, if you look at the purported pay rise. And it's so the extension would be around it's about 3-year period at the extension rate, which means it would keep him here until 2024. That's the concern for me, because if he fouls
what's the pay rate that Ole's on at the moment? Like, how much of an increase would that be?
He's getting a pay raise of between 2 and 3 million a year.
Right. Okay. So that is a significant amount.
That is a smaller level of significance. His contract ends next year. So Man United right now, on paper, if they sacked him today, they'd owe him about 8.5 to 8.6 million pounds. If we extend the deal by 3 years, you've got all this. It's 7 million times 3 you then owe him, plus the additional. So you're committing to 21 million plus an additional 9. So you're committing to the extra 30 million pounds. If you sack him if you sack him after 1 year, the compensation is going to be in the region of 20 to 21 million pounds of compensation to pay out. That's my concern, because we have lacked a plan. It's not even giving the Ole a new deal is less an issue than the money we'd hemorrhage if it goes wrong. That's what concerns me.
That can turn into a Jose Mourinho 2.0 then. But as long as there's some very clear caveats and some clauses to objectives for his next tenure, because I mean, if they're going to be happy him just getting top 4 every year and then maybe, you know, being in and amongst it by say the back end of the season. So if they say we want minimum Champions League for the next 3 years, but out of those years we want, say, 3 trophies, three major trophies.
I hear you on that, bro. But it won't. It will be top 4 qualification keeps you your job. Outside of it doesn't, and that is, again, the standards aren't good enough. But listen, Josh, great call, mate. Appreciate you coming on, having your say. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Every ITES here says Ole doesn't deserve 1p a year. I love ITES, because only 2 months ago he came on here and said, "I'm sorry, Ole's the man."
Yeah, I remember that day. Beautiful, wonderful day.
It was, and you know what? If we went on a good run at the end of the season, won the Europa League, and started next season well, 9 wins from 10 or something, he'll be back on the bandwagon that Ole's the guy again. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Listen, everyone who's tuned in, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. Do me a big favor, smash that like button right now before you leave. Subscribe to the Football Terrace. Don't forget to sing. So I've got to learn the song. Me and Tahir, the guy that super chatted, will be getting that done later. Big debate show later on this afternoon for you. So make sure you're tuning in. That'll be announced on our socials very, very soon indeed. Until next time, Bob, thank you. KJ, thank you. Appreciate the support as ever. Take care, everyone who tuned in. Look after